Welcome to exclusive diaries for inspiring relationship stories that touch your heart. Subscribe to stay up to date with our latest content and join us on our journey of love and connection.
My 33M wife, 33F, has been messaging an old guy friend of hers from high school, and in their messages to each other it really seems like they are planning on hooking up at a local hotel. Here's the backstory for everyone. My wife and I had an amazing relationship when we got together. We would tell each other everything, we had the same goals in life, and were so compatible with each other. After we had been dating just a couple weeks, I felt like I had already spent my whole life with her, and I wanted to make sure I was with her for the rest of it. I accepted her daughter from a previous marriage as my own, and that great kid loved me as her father. Our friends and relatives would remark that we sound like an old married couple. If we had a fight, we would talk it out and reach a resolution without any hurt feelings. She quickly became my best friend, and I would do anything for her that she ever asked. We met in 2011, started dating in 2013, got married in 2016, and with the birth of our first child in 2017, she wanted to become a stay-at-home mom to raise our growing family. She is my first and only girlfriend, and I feel like the luckiest guy in the world to be with her on this journey we call life. So, what happened then? It was in January 2021 that things started to sour. Around that time, I started going back into the office for a newer, better job in the same company, and was exhausted from the work and commute. This exhaustion fueled my aggravation at things my wife could do better at, like doing the dishes or not spending so much time on her MMO gaming. I became grouchy and melancholy, and I started to slowly distance myself from her. Everything was still mostly good, but movie nights with her on the couch became a little less frequent. Neither of us would cook as much at home, so we began opting for fast food or frozen convenient foods for us and the kids. Jump ahead to July this year. One of the busiest months I have ever had. Between getting a new job and hobby stuff on the weekends, there was a lot going on to deal with. Cue my dad passing away unexpectedly on a Friday afternoon. I had arrived at hotel for a small gaming convention, and the last text from him was, "Glad you made it there safe, have a great weekend." And then 3 hours later my mom called me to say that he was gone. Once I was back home and grieving, I started to notice a couple things were different about my wife. The biggest thing was she didn't do much of anything to console me during this time. I was pretty stoic about my dad's passing, and once I got my ugly cry out and said goodbye to him, I had accepted what had happened. But I realized that my wife had become very distant from me by then. Also, during July, my wife disabled her old Facebook profile and created a new one. She had grown disillusioned with several of her friends on there, many of whom were college friends that don't speak to us anymore, and a bunch of bigoted old people that she knew from her years in church when she was a kid. So, she opted to get rid of that one and start a new one that she can use to befriend exactly who she wants. I supported her on this, as I had made this suggestion to her a year or two ago for those same reasons. Jump ahead a few more weeks, to last Tuesday, when I realized that had completely emotionally distanced herself from me, and I didn't take it well. Neither of us had been abusive in any way to each other, but we were both neglecting each other, ourselves, and, worst of all, our kids. I finally noticed that whenever we would try to do anything with each other, she no longer would say, "I love you" first to me. She would still respond with "I love you" too whenever I said it to her, but she was no longer initiating it, and that had never happened in 9 years since we started dating. My heart began hurting in ways I never expected. As much as I was frustrated with her, I still loved her more than anything, and would do anything for her she asked. But she wasn't asking for anything. She never got visibly upset with me or yell at me to let me know that I was not doing what she needed or wanted. There was something wrong. On Tuesday, I struggled. I couldn't sleep that night at all because I was worried about what had happened between the two of us and when things started to go downhill. I got on my phone and searched things like "Why is my wife distant?" or "Does my wife still love me?" and the articles I read led me to the idea that she may be cheating on me. I first thought that there is no way she would do that. But I started to think about it, and then I started to have a breakdown. It started to make sense. And it turned out she had not done anything yet but was planning to in a couple weeks. Now you may be asking, how do I know this? Because I looked on her phone while she was sleeping to see what was happening. Now, before anyone says anything, my wife and I have always had an open phone policy in our relationship. At no point have either of us kept a secret from each other, often sharing each other's phones to grab pictures of the kids, or use Google Maps, or anything. No secret passwords for our accounts, we shared everything. I looked through her texts and saw nothing in there to indicate her affair. But her messenger was a different story. So that Tuesday night that I had my breakdown and was looking on her phone? Just the day before, she had accepted a friend request from one of her friends, M33, from high school. Now, to be fair, she has been trying to reconnect with some of her high school friends on her new profile as part of that fresh start on Facebook in the weeks since creating the profile. But she had not been messaging any of them on Facebook/Messenger. So I started reading, and this is where it gets bad. To summarize, he reached out to her because he saw her profile because Facebook recommended her as a friend. They started to chat on Monday that week and catch up on how things have been for them the past 15 years. My wife lied to him by saying she was working at the local Walmart, which she stopped working at after our first child was born in 2017. He says he remembers her being sweet and smart and nice, and asks what her housing situation is like, to which she responds that she is renting a place with a female housemate who has kids, and she needs to get her own place. Then there is a bunch of chatting about the TV show Firefly and its spin-off movie, Serenity. Then my wife confesses to him that he was one of her crushes back in high school. They share selfies and get all bashful with each other, and say goodnight. This guy being a crush was news to me, as I had only ever heard this guy's name in passing a couple times when my wife would tell me stories from her high school years. As many times as she talked about her other crushes and the stories of her breakups with them, or the times she wasn't able to date them, this guy was only ever mentioned as a friend to another friend, never as one of the actual crushes. Tuesday's messages start with good mornings, and my wife asking him when he might be coming back into town. He moved somewhere about 5 hours away, while my wife stayed local. He gives her a date, and she suggests a bar to meet at, and then he suggests they watch the movie Serenity afterwards. She mentions they can't watch it at her place because it's too crowded with someone else's kids, so she suggests using the back of her Jeep, which is actually my mom's Jeep, she has been letting us borrow for quite some time, or even getting a hotel room. He's up for the hotel room. There is more chit-chat, during which my wife mentions she is at her non-existent job about to go on her lunch break. A few messages later, he then asks her about her relationship she has listed on her Facebook profile. She tells him that she is in an ambiguous relationship that is kind of open, and that she met her boyfriend in college, but he lives in another country. He then remarks that he got engaged to his fiancée 2 years ago, and they still haven't got married yet. Then he asks what about her kid from her previous marriage, to which she replied that she is living with her father right now, which never happened at any point after they divorced. So yeah, apparently she never listed herself as married on Facebook during this, just in a relationship. That one stung. That evening they are still texting each other, and they then start talking about how they sleep at night. Apparently, he sleeps naked in order to be comfy, while my wife replies that she has to sleep in just her underwear to get comfy. They then agree that they should get a room with 2 beds instead of a room with 1 bed and a chair so they can both be comfy while they watch Serenity. Then a couple more comments and silly flirting, and one final comment about being comfy when they sleep in the room. Earlier Tuesday morning, my wife came to me and asked if she could go on a night out with some of her friends from high school to a local bar, the one she mentioned to her guy friend. She also mentions that they are going to get a hotel room together and watch Serenity together afterwards. That night when I saw the messages with her guy friend, and a complete lack of messages or texts with any of her other friends that she mentioned would be going with her. This broke me. Every emotion hit me while I panicked. I finally calmed down, but was still unable to sleep, especially next to her in bed. When she woke up that next morning, I had an ugly cry with her about how I realized that I had not been doing a good job as a husband and decided that I wanted to be with her with me no matter what happens between us. She cried and made a comment that she wasn't sure if she wanted to be married or be a mom anymore. We talked more about her feelings, and she finally opened up that she has been bi-curious over the past 6 or 7 months, that she had a crush on a girl she met through her MMO gaming that she has played with for a couple months now, and that is the reason why she has been distant over the past month or so. I never once mentioned to her that I know of the messages to her guy friend from high school, and I still have not. In the days since this, I've been trying to reconnect with my wife and change myself. I realized with my dad's death that I was not doing as well as I should have, and after all of it I want to forgive her and stay with her forever. The thought of going scorched earth and kicking her out without any financial support makes me physically ill, as she has less than $1,000 to her name, no credit score, no car, and no job. I care too much about her and our kids to hurt her or get even, and I am willing to work with her to fix our relationship and go forward stronger than before. We have had several good nights of getting in a long overdue date night, snuggling up and watching some movies together, and she is starting to act more like her old self around the kids too, so part of me thinks we can save everything. I don't want to place too much blame on her, as I am aware of my failings as a husband and partner have been recently, but I have some questions that need to be answered. But if we can repair our relationship and marriage, it doesn't matter to me if anyone else ever finds out. She has not done anything with this guy yet, so my goal is to hopefully stop it before she makes a terrible decision. The worst part of this to me is that she is lying to this guy friend about her own life. She told him that she never remarried and had more kids, she is still working, and her boyfriend live internationally and is okay with an open and ambiguous relationship. I can't figure out what she is doing this for. Like, is she wanting to abandon our family to start a new one? Does she just want a fling for a midlife crisis or something? I haven't looked at many of her messages with him since then. Only enough to know that they are still chatting quite a bit, and that she still hasn't messaged any of her other high school friends that she mentioned to me earlier. I also have not contacted the guy about this. I found him on Facebook, and could easily prove to him that he is being lied to by my wife about her current life, but I'm not sure if that's a good idea. What I really need help with is if she'd try to confront her before she goes and gets comfy with this guy in a hotel room after drinking at a bar. I want to say something, but I don't have anyone I can talk to about this right now before I say anything. My thinking is that I confront her a few days before she is scheduled to meet this guy, tell her that I read her messages, and ask her questions like, why did you lie to this guy about your life? Why are you wanting to do this? What is your ultimate goal with this guy? Was he really one of your old high school crushes? What did I do that or not do that lead you down this path? Does anyone have any other ideas for questions to ask her? Or how I should handle this situation? How should I broach the subject with her? Should I confront the guy about this? I have not had any luck trying to find advice about this situation. There's plenty for how to handle things after cheating, but I found nothing regarding before cheating. Any advice? Oh, and if my wife should stumble upon this somehow, I want you to know that I forgive you, I love you, and I want us to make things better than they were before. Edit, here's an update for anyone who is curious. I haven't had much opportunity recently, both more things keep coming up in my life, but here we go. TLDR, she's leaving, and good riddance. In the weeks since, I have come to the realization that this woman I married no longer loves me, nor loves her children. She has no interest in trying to fix things, and she does not want to be a mother. In fact, I would go so far as to say that she is embarrassed and ashamed to be a wife and mother. I say this because one day she went to pick up one kid from school, and she left her game and Discord running on her computer. I took a peek and saw that she told her gaming friends that she had to go AFK to pick up her roommate's kid from school. So to her, our foul children are a burden that she has to deal with. She won't change the diapers for our youngest two unless they are overloaded, and she won't do anything to help me with school for the oldest two. Oh, and she has been sexting several different people on Discord, sending them nudie pictures of herself, and also denying that she is married with kids. Combine this with all of the other things she has done over the years, and I am done with her. I tried to make it work, but in the weeks since I saw that message I realized that I cannot deal with her anymore. For so many years I did everything to make her happy, and it wasn't good enough. For so many years, I did most of the chores while also commuting and working almost 12 hours a day MF and occasional OT, and that doesn't count for anything. Even if she did want to try and fix things herself, it wouldn't work, because there is no way she would do anything I would ask of her to fix our relationship. It's over. 9 years together, 6 years married, all gone because she, in her words, she needs to love herself first. She just wanted validation through someone else, and she wants to live on her own for a while. It's like she found a list of buzzwords and key phrases to say to me to justify it. I asked her what happened between us, and she kept changing her answer, even during the course of a single conversation. First, it was because I wasn't doing enough, then it was after our recent kid was born, then it was the one before, and then I was just a rebound from her previous marriage, and then it was because she needed to love herself. Whatever, keep changing your story and excuses. I'll be over here changing diapers and doing the dishes. Oh, and to top it all off? Since my post, our oldest kid, my stepdaughter, is now in therapy because she is depressed, and I'm dealing with stage 3 lymphoma. And through it all, not once did my soon-to-be ex-wife show any concern or emotion towards us or the rest of my family. Not sure if it is a postpartum depression or postpartum psychosis or something else, but I don't care. I'm hurt, as is our teenager. The other 3 kids are too young to realize anything is going on, ages 5, 3, and 9 months. She has started a job to try and save money so she can get her own place. I'll be calling a lawyer next chance I get when my voice is back. Head is currently stopped up because of a bad sinus infection and my voice is gone. She doesn't want the kids at all, so I'll be getting custody of them, but she is also worried that she won't be able to pay any child support because she is unable, or unwilling, to find any job that pays better than $15 per hour, and she needs to get herself an apartment and a car. Whatever. She destroyed our lives, and only cares about herself. On some positive notes, I've reconnected with some friends that I haven't seen for literally years because my wife chased them off because of bitchy behavior. Also, my brother and his family have moved next door to me. They were planning on this before our dad died, but his death spurred them on to come home sooner, and are trying to help me with kids and everything. So I've got a good support network right now, or old friends, and my family helping me some. I just need to get rid of my soon-to-be ex-wife, and then I can actually move forward with my life. I guess some people don't really change in their lives, at least not unless they recognize they have a problem. My wife had some baggage from her emotionally abusive and manipulative mother, but I thought we would be able to work through that. Guess not. Next time I will make sure not to date a fixer-upper and find someone who is confident and comfortable with themselves, and has actual ambitions and goals in life, and isn't addicted to video games. Thank you for watching.